I'm David Asman in for Lou Dobbs. Now, we're seeing some shocking hypocrisy from Democrats regarding the Republican FISA abuse memo. Ranking Intel Democrat Adam Schiff blasted the memo as a danger to national security. But back in 2013, he said the FISA court needed to be, and I'm quoting here, much more transparent so that the American people can understand what is being done in their name and in the name of national security. Joining me now is Republican Representative Diane Black of Tennessee, a member of the House Budget and Ways and Means Committee. Representative Black is also running for governor of the volunteer state. Best of luck in that venture, Representative. But let's first talk about this memo and the fact that now Representative Schiff is against coming out with the underlying information. Of course, we would advise it all being redacted if it's sensitive stuff that could compromise our intel. But he doesn't want to release any of the stuff that would indicate what the FISA committee was basing its recommendation on with regard to the application, whether or not it was based on the Trump dossier. What do you think?
Well, it's awfully strange now that he has changed his story, and I'm so glad that the Nunes memo did come out because it did show and allow the people of the country to see the transparency here about what was really happening. Look, it's really disappointing that all of this was occurring because what it does is it causes the American people to say that they can't trust our intelligence agencies and our FBI. And I think that's such a shame because we know that the FBI, the men and the women that work there are good people. And it's just a shame that this has occurred the way it has. But the American people deserve transparency. They deserve a chance to know what's going on.
And frankly, I think they understand what's going on to the most part. I mean, for example, the Trump trap, what we heard about today, where Adam Schiff knew he was putting into the memo stuff that would have to be redacted because he knows intel very well. Yes. He knows what should and shouldn't be allowed. And since it is probably going to be redacted, he will then shout censorship on the part of Trump or Republicans in Congress.
I did have a chance to read that document. I made sure that I read both of them. Although I'm not on the Intelligence Committee, I did have several concerns. And one of my concerns was where there was a citing, how I could tell whether that citing was correct or not. And so I did spend quite a bit of time in the room asking those questions of the staff. And it's pretty obvious that they have citings that are not exactly what really went on.
Representative, you are very interested in what happens to the budget of the United States. You heard the president earlier today say he'd rather see a government shutdown. He said he'd love to see a government shutdown if it prevented more M13 members and other bad people from coming into the country as a result of not dealing with immigration in the new budget deal. Do you feel the same?
I don't think a government shutdown is ever really the best thing for the American people. I think that we can get to the conclusion of where we need to be. Look, DACA is something that we have all said we want to deal with. Now, the Democrats are trying to use that to do everything they can to make the Republicans look like we're not effective. But we're going to get to this, and I don't think that the government shutdown really is the way to go. We do need to deal with DACA, but first we need to deal with the things that caused DACA to begin with, and that is securing our borders, the visa lottery, the chain migration. All of those things have to be dealt with, and then we can talk about the young people that came to this country through no fault of their own, but with their parents bringing them here.
And assuming, and it's a big assumption, that we can get beyond DACA, the question of the budget, you know, the Democrats continue to say the only thing that's going to make them happy and vote for a budget, long-term budget deal, is if it includes all this extra spending. Like the government has been doing such a wonderful job in the past in spending money. Like there's no abuse, there's no fraud, there's no waste in government spending. And when you think of something like Medicaid, which if you become governor, you're going to have to be dealing with in your state, it's bankrupting a lot of states, the amount of money that the states have to spend on Medicaid. And you think of the fraud, money is just more money is not the answer, is it?
No, it is not. And as a former budget chair, and people know that this last year when we did the budget, it was the most conservative budget that we did in 20 years because we recognize you cannot continue this spending more than what you bring in every year and piling up this debt and these deficits. And so for me, whatever I can do as a governor of the state of Tennessee just to take block grants, be able to get the federal government out of my way, I can take care of what needs to be taken care of. But this overspending is something that we've become addicted to here in Washington, and it must stop.
And frankly, that's one of the reasons I'm with the president. I think I'd rather see a government shutdown than some of this abuse of the budgets that's being done. And the markets really are quite satisfied when there is a shutdown. They actually do pretty well because they think the folks inside the Beltway aren't going to be able to do any more damage. Congressman, we got to leave it at that. Look, best of luck to you in your race for governor. Please come back and see us.